Welcome to my channel, where we delve into the chilling tales that linger in the shadows of forgotten places. If you're a fan of the supernatural, haunted history, and spine-tingling encounters, then you've come to the right place. Today, we're embarking on a journey through one of the most haunted states in America, Mississippi. Known for its rich cultural heritage and deep-rooted folklore, Mississippi is also home to some of the most terrifying locations ever documented. From eerie plantations steeped in tragedy to abandoned asylums where echoes of the past refuse to fade, this state holds secrets that have yet to be fully uncovered. In this video, we'll explore 12 of the most haunted places in Mississippi, each with its own unique story of horror, loss, and mystery. Whether it's the ghostly apparitions said to roam the halls of the Windsor ruins, or the unexplained phenomena reported at the old Alcorn State Hospital, these locations have drawn the attention of paranormal investigators, historians, and thrill-seekers alike. We'll take an in-depth look at the legends behind these sites, the tragic events that may have left lingering spirits, and the unsettling experiences reported by those who have dared to visit. As we uncover the haunted history of Mississippi, prepare yourself for tales that will send chills down your spine. Some of these locations are so infamous that even seasoned ghost hunters hesitate to enter after dark. But if you're ready to face the unknown and step into the realm of the paranormal, then let's begin our journey through the most haunted places in Mississippi. The haunted legacy of the Windsor ruins. Deep in the heart of Mississippi's Adams County lies one of the most famous and eerie remnants of the antebellum South, the Windsor ruins. Once a grand plantation mansion boasting 29 columns, Windsor was considered one of the largest and most opulent homes in the state before it mysteriously burned down in 1890. Today, only the skeletal remains of its once majestic structure stand, casting long shadows over the landscape like silent sentinels of the past. However, what truly makes Windsor ruins infamous is not just its historical significance but the numerous reports of paranormal activity that have made it a hotspot for ghost hunters and curious visitors alike. According to local legend, the fire that destroyed Windsor was no accident. Some claim it was set deliberately, either by an enslaved worker seeking revenge or by a jealous lover scorned by one of the plantation owners. Others believe the blaze was the result of a curse placed upon the estate due to the atrocities committed within its walls during the era of slavery. Whatever the truth, the ruins have become a magnet for supernatural occurrences. Visitors often report hearing disembodied voices whispering in the wind, strange footsteps echoing through the empty corridors of the remaining structures, and shadowy figures darting between the trees. One of the most frequently cited apparitions at Windsor is that of a woman dressed in Victorian-era clothing, believed to be the spirit of a former plantation mistress. Witnesses claim she can be seen wandering the grounds, her expression sorrowful as if mourning a lost love or lamenting the horrors that unfolded around her. Some speculate that she may have perished in the fire, forever bound to the ruins in search of something, or someone, she never found in life. Others believe she was a member of the family who lived there, trapped between worlds due to unfinished business or unresolved grief. Beyond the ghostly sightings, many who visit Windsor ruins describe an overwhelming sense of unease, as if unseen eyes are watching them from the darkness. Whether these claims are based on historical trauma imprinted on the land or the restless souls of those who suffered there remains a mystery. What is certain, however, is that the Windsor ruins continue to captivate the imagination of all who dare to walk among its crumbling columns, leaving behind stories of fear, fascination, and the lingering presence of the past. The ghostly echoes of Longwood Mansion. Perched atop a hill in Natchez, Mississippi, stands the towering silhouette of Longwood Mansion, an architectural marvel frozen in time. Designed by renowned architect Samuel Sloan in the mid-19th century, Longwood was intended to be the largest octagonal house in the United States, boasting an impressive three-story structure with an ornate Italianate design. However, construction was abruptly halted in 1861 with the outbreak of the Civil War, leaving the mansion incomplete and eerily preserved in its unfinished state. Today, Longwood remains a haunting testament to a bygone era, and locals swear that the spirits of its original inhabitants still wander its empty halls. The origins of Longwood's supposed hauntings trace back to its builder, Holler Nutt, a wealthy cotton planter who commissioned the mansion as a grand home for his wife, Anna. Before the war, The Nutt family resided in a smaller home nearby while overseeing the mansion's construction. Tragedy struck when the Civil War erupted, forcing the Nutts to flee their property as Union forces advanced. Although Haller returned after the war, his financial empire had crumbled, and he passed away in 1867 under mysterious circumstances. Some say he died of cholera, while others believe he took his own life in despair over his lost fortune. His widow, Anna, continued living in the unfinished mansion until her death in 1887, reportedly refusing to leave despite the decaying state of the home. Visitors and staff at Longwood Mansion have recounted numerous paranormal experiences over the years. One of the most persistent legends involves the ghost of Anna Nutt herself, who is said to haunt the second-floor balcony where she would sit, gazing out over the vast estate. Many claim to have seen a spectral figure in period dress standing near the railing, vanishing the moment they attempt to approach. Others report feeling an inexplicable chill in certain rooms, accompanied by the sound of footsteps echoing across the wooden floors despite being alone in the building. Perhaps the most unsettling accounts involve the third floor of Longwood, which remains largely inaccessible due to its unstable condition. Staff members have described hearing the distinct sound of children laughing and running above them, though no one should be present in that area. Some believe these voices belong to the Nutt children, who were raised in the unfinished mansion and may have perished during the war or succumbed to illness. Others speculate that the sounds are residual energy imprinted onto the very walls of the house, replaying moments from the past like a phantom recording. Paranormal investigators have conducted multiple studies at Longwood, capturing unusual readings and eerie photographs that suggest the presence of otherworldly entities. Whether these manifestations are the lingering spirits of the Nutt family or merely the collective memory of a house that never reached completion remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that Longwood Mansion continues to draw those fascinated by history and the supernatural alike, offering a glimpse into a world suspended between the past and the present. The terrifying history of the Myrtles plantation tucked away in the sleepy town of St. Francisville, Louisiana, just across the Mississippi River, lies the Myrtles plantation, a grand antebellum estate shrouded in mystery and horror. Though technically located in Louisiana, the Myrtles' proximity to Mississippi and its frequent inclusion in regional ghost hunting tours make it a crucial addition to any discussion of the Deep South's most haunted locations. This sprawling Greek Revival mansion, built in 1796, has gained notoriety as one of the most haunted houses in America, drawing paranormal enthusiasts and thrill-seekers eager to witness its spectral residents firsthand. The Myrtles' haunted legacy begins with its original owner, General David Bradford, a man known for his involvement in the Whiskey Rebellion and his eventual exile to Spanish Louisiana. However, the true horror associated with the plantation stems from the actions of one of its later inhabitants, Clarissa Christina Snyder, a servant allegedly responsible for a series of gruesome deaths. According to legend, Clarissa was a vengeful woman who practiced voodoo and harbored resentment toward the plantation's mistress, Sarah Woodruff Sterling. In a twisted act of retaliation, Clarissa is said to have poisoned the brim of a hat belonging to Sarah's two young daughters, resulting in their untimely deaths. The mother, devastated by the loss, reportedly saw Clarissa fleeing the scene, leading to her swift execution by hanging. Despite her demise, Clarissa's spirit is believed to have remained tethered to the Myrtles, continuing to torment those who reside within its walls. Numerous guests and employees have reported seeing the ghost of a woman in a green dress wandering the halls, her presence often accompanied by an overwhelming sense of dread. One of the most frequently encountered apparitions is that of a little girl named Chloe, whose laughter can be heard echoing through the halls late at night. Some believe Chloe was one of Clarissa's victims, while others claim she is simply a playful child who refuses to leave the home she once loved. The Myrtles plantation has also been the site of countless unexplained phenomena. Guests staying in Room 10, often referred to as Chloe's room, have reported waking up to find their belongings rearranged, their hair pulled in the middle of the night, and even glimpsing the reflection of a small girl in the mirror when no one else is present. Photographs taken inside the house often capture orbs of light or shadowy figures lurking in the background. The haunting of the governor's mansion. Nestled in the heart of Jackson, Mississippi, the governor's mansion stands as a symbol of political power and southern grandeur. Built in 1842, this historic residence has housed generations of Mississippi governors and their families, witnessing the state's evolution from antebellum prosperity to modern governance. Yet, beneath its polished exterior and meticulously maintained gardens, a darker legacy lingers, one whispered about in hushed tones by staff, visitors, and even former First families. The governor's mansion is widely regarded as one of the most haunted buildings in the state, with decades of eerie encounters and unexplained phenomena lending credence to its spectral reputation. The origins of the mansion's alleged hauntings date back to its earliest days, though the most infamous ghostly presence is believed to be that of Julia Silliman Waller. Julia was the wife of Reuben Davis, Mississippi's 25th governor, who served from 1852 to 1854. According to legend, Julia fell ill during her husband's tenure and passed away in one of the upstairs bedrooms. Rather than removing her body immediately, the grieving governor is said to have insisted on keeping her in the room for several days, unable to part with her presence. It is believed that Julia's spirit never truly left the mansion, and over the years, countless individuals have reported encountering her ghost roaming the halls. Many who have stayed overnight in the governor's mansion speak of an unshakable sense of being watched, particularly in the east wing where Julia's bedroom once stood. Some claim to have seen the faint outline of a woman in period clothing gliding through the hallways, while others report hearing soft footsteps approaching from empty corridors. Perhaps the most unsettling account comes from a former First Lady who described waking in the middle of the night to find a woman standing at the foot of her bed, staring silently before vanishing into the darkness. Beyond Julia's spirit, other paranormal occurrences have been attributed to the mansion's long history. Staff members working late hours have described doors slamming shut on their own, lights flickering without explanation, and the sound of distant piano music echoing through the emptied ballroom. One particularly chilling incident involved a security guard who claimed to hear the sound of children laughing in the nursery, despite the fact that no children were present in the mansion at the time. When he investigated, he found nothing but an overturned rocking chair swaying gently as if disturbed moments before. The chilling secrets of the Island Queen steamboat. Once a majestic steamboat that traversed the mighty Mississippi River, the Island Queen carried passengers through the heart of the South during the early 20th century. Originally launched in 1923, this grand vessel became a staple of river travel, offering luxurious accommodations and breathtaking views of the surrounding landscapes. However, beneath its polished decks and elegant interiors lay a history steeped in tragedy and mystery, one that continues to haunt the memories of those who have encountered its ghostly remnants. The Island Queen met its fate in 1947 when it collided with another steamboat, the Robert E. Lee, near New Orleans. The collision resulted in a catastrophic explosion and fire, claiming the lives of more than a dozen passengers and crew members. The wreckage was eventually salvaged, and parts of the ship were repurposed, but rumors persist that a section of the original vessel was hidden away rather than destroyed. Some believe that this lost portion of the Island Queen was secretly stored in a warehouse in Vicksburg, Mississippi, where it has remained untouched for decades, its eerie presence seemingly alive with the echoes of the past. Those who have visited the rumored storage site claim to have experienced unexplainable phenomena. Visitors have reported hearing faint whispers in the dark, the sound of footsteps echoing across the wooden planks, and even the distant hum of a steam engine that hasn't functioned in over half a century. Some have described feeling an overwhelming sense of dread upon entering the warehouse, as if unseen eyes are watching them from the shadows. Others claim to have seen fleeting apparitions of figures dressed in early 20th century attire, their faces pale and sorrowful as they drift through the dimly lit space. One of the most chilling accounts comes from a group of urban explorers who ventured into the warehouse in search of the lost pieces of the Island Queen. They claim to have captured audio recordings filled with distorted voices calling out names, pleading for help, and recounting the events of the fateful night of the collision. When played back, the recordings reportedly contained phrases such as, "We're still here," and "Don't leave us behind." Whether these voices were the result of interference, or something far more sinister remains a subject of debate. Local legends suggest that the spirits of those who perished aboard the Island Queen remain trapped within the remnants of the ship, unable to move on due to the abrupt and violent nature of their deaths. Some believe that the boat itself acts as a conduit for these lost souls, preserving their final moments, and replaying them endlessly in an eerie loop of tragedy. Others speculate that the warehouse serves as a prison for these restless spirits, binding them to the wreckage until their story is finally acknowledged and laid to rest. Though the existence of the hidden island queen remains unconfirmed, the stories surrounding it continue to circulate, drawing the attention of paranormal investigators and history enthusiasts alike. Whether the ship's ghostly presence is real or merely the product of collective imagination, one thing is certain: the Island Queen endures in legend, its spectral echoes drifting through the air like the distant call of a foghorn lost in time. The phantom residence of the Roanoke, tucked away in the quiet town of Oxford, Mississippi, lies a stately home that has borne witness to centuries of history. Roanoke. Originally constructed in the 1840s, this Greek Revival-style mansion has become synonymous with literary legend, having been purchased and restored by Nobel Prize-winning author William Faulkner in the 1930s. Though Faulkner's presence has left an indelible mark on the property, those who have walked its halls and wandered its grounds often speak of another presence, one that predates the famed writer and continues to linger in the shadows of the old estate. The history of Roanoke is deeply intertwined with the tumultuous past of the American South. Originally owned by Colonel Robert Shigog, a prosperous planter, the home changed hands multiple times before falling into disrepair in the early 20th century. By the time Faulkner acquired it in 1930, the mansion was in dire need of restoration, and he spent years painstakingly bringing it back to life. However, even as he worked to revive the estate, he reportedly spoke of strange occurrences, whispers in empty rooms, the sensation of being watched, and the feeling that unseen eyes followed him through the halls. Faulkner himself seemed unfazed by the eerie happenings, attributing them to the ghosts of history rather than malevolent spirits. In interviews, he once remarked that he believed the house held the memories of those who had lived there before him, their presences woven into the very fabric of its walls. Some speculate that these lingering energies include Colonel Shigog himself, whose descendants claimed he was fiercely protective of his home and refused to leave even in death. Others believe the apparition of a Confederate soldier has been spotted wandering the property, possibly the spirit of a former occupant who fought and perished in the Civil War. More recent visitors to Roanoke have reported similar experiences. Tour guides and staff members have described hearing faint footsteps in the dead of night, despite knowing they were alone in the house. Some have felt sudden drops in temperature in specific rooms, particularly in Faulkner's study, where the author once wrote many of his most celebrated works. Others have claimed to catch fleeting glimpses of figures standing in doorways or peering through windows, only to turn and find no one there. One of the most intriguing accounts comes from a group of college students who participated in a literary tour of the home. As they wandered through the upstairs hallway, one student claimed to see a woman in a flowing white dress standing at the end of the corridor. When they attempted to approach, she vanished into thin air. Later, while examining historical records, they discovered that a woman had indeed lived in the house during the 19th century and had reportedly died under mysterious circumstances. Whether these spectral encounters are the result of historical imprints or actual ghostly residents remains a matter of debate. What is undeniable, however, is that Roanoke exudes an atmosphere of quiet reverence, as if the past is never truly gone but merely waiting to be remembered. For those who visit, the experience is often more than just a lesson in history. It becomes a journey into the unknown, where the line between reality and the supernatural blurs with every step through the creaking floorboards of this storied home. The cursed grounds of the old Alcorn State Hospital, situated in Lorman, Mississippi. The old Alcorn State Hospital stands as a grim reminder of a dark chapter in psychiatric history. Originally established in the early 20th century as the Mississippi Negro Hospital, it was one of the few mental health institutions dedicated to treating African American patients during the Jim Crow era. Over the decades, the hospital became notorious for its overcrowded wards, inadequate medical care, and widespread mistreatment of patients. Many who entered its doors never left, and today, the abandoned complex is said to be haunted by the restless spirits of those who suffered within its walls. The hospital's history is marred by troubling conditions that contributed to its eerie reputation. Reports from former employees and patients describe instances of neglect, forced sterilizations, and even secret experiments conducted on unwilling subjects. Some claim that electroshock therapy was administered without anesthesia, while others allege that patients were locked away indefinitely with little hope of release. These harrowing accounts have led many to believe that the suffering endured within the hospital left an indelible mark on the land, trapping the souls of the departed in a cycle of anguish. Today, the abandoned campus remains largely untouched, its decaying buildings standing as silent witnesses to the horrors of the past. Urban explorers and paranormal investigators who have ventured into the ruins describe an overwhelming sense of dread upon entry, as if the very air is thick with sorrow and despair. Strange noises echo through the empty halls, distant screams, muffled sobbing, and the sound of footsteps trailing behind those who dare to explore. Some claim to have seen shadowy figures moving through the broken windows, while others report feeling an icy presence brush past them in the darkness. The spectral shadows of the Margaret Reed Crosby House in the heart of Natchez, Mississippi, nestled among the grand antebellum mansions that line the city's historic district, stands the Margaret Reed Crosby House. A stately Victorian home that has become the subject of numerous ghostly tales. Built in the late 19th century, the house was once the residence of Margaret Reed Crosby, a prominent socialite known for her lavish parties and refined taste. However, beneath its elegant facade lies a history steeped in tragedy and mystery, giving rise to one of the most enduring paranormal legends in the region. Margaret Reed Crosby was a woman of considerable wealth and influence, but her life was marked by personal turmoil. After the death of her husband, she reportedly became increasingly reclusive, retreating into the solitude of her grand home. Local lore suggests that Margaret was plagued by depression and paranoia, convinced that unseen forces were conspiring against her. Some accounts claim she began speaking to the portraits on her walls, believing them to be the spirits of her ancestors watching over her. Others tell of her nightly ritual of pacing the upstairs hallway, muttering to herself in a language no one could understand. Tragedy struck when Margaret was found dead in her bedroom under suspicious circumstances. While official records list her cause of death as natural, rumors quickly spread that she had been murdered by a jealous lover or driven to madness by the ghosts she claimed surrounded her. To this day, visitors to the Crosby house report eerie sensations, cold spots lingering in certain rooms, the sound of footsteps echoing through the halls, and the occasional glimpse of a shadowy figure disappearing around corners. One of the most frequently reported paranormal experiences involves the house's grand staircase. Witnesses claim to have seen the faint outline of a woman in a flowing Victorian gown descending the steps, only to vanish before reaching the bottom. Some believe this apparition is Margaret herself, forever trapped in the home she once cherished. Others speculate that she was not alone in death, and that the spirits of those who lived and died within the house continue to haunt its halls, their presence intertwined with the sorrow and mystery of Margaret's final days. Despite efforts to restore the Crosby house and transform it into a museum or event venue, many workers and visitors have refused to spend time inside after dark, citing an overwhelming sense of unease. Whether these occurrences are the result of historical trauma imprinted on the property, or the lingering presence of Margaret's restless spirit remains a topic of debate. What is certain, however, is that the Margaret Reed Crosby house continues to captivate those who seek out the supernatural, its ghostly echoes whispering through the dust-laden corridors of time. The phantom legends of the Waverly Mansion hidden deep within the rolling hills of West Point, Mississippi, stands the Waverly Mansion, an architectural marvel that has become one of the state's most enigmatic and well-documented haunted locations. Built in 1852 by Colonel Lewis Hinson, this sprawling Greek Revival estate once served as a grand plantation home, hosting lavish gatherings and housing generations of the Hinson family. However, beneath its pristine white columns and sweeping verandas lies a history riddled with tragedy, betrayal, and unexplained paranormal activity that has cemented its reputation as one of Mississippi's most haunted houses. Colonel Hinson, a wealthy cotton planter, spared no expense in constructing Waverly, commissioning intricate woodwork, elaborate moldings, and an expansive ballroom designed to host the finest social events of the antebellum South. At its peak, the mansion was home to over 50 rooms, making it one of the largest private residences in the state. However, the Civil War brought devastation to the Hinson family, and by the late 19th century, financial ruin forced them to abandon the estate. The mansion sat empty for decades, slowly deteriorating as nature reclaimed its once pristine halls. It wasn't until the 1970s that preservationists stepped in, restoring Waverly to its former glory and transforming it into a museum and event venue. As we bring our journey through Mississippi's most haunted locations to a close, one thing remains abundantly clear. These places are more than just relics of the past. They are living testaments to history's darkest chapters, infused with the lingering echoes of those who once walked their halls and roamed their grounds. From the crumbling ruins of Windsor to the spectral whispers of the Biloxi Lighthouse, each of these locations carries with it a unique blend of tragedy, mystery, and the unshakable feeling that something unseen still watches from the shadows. What makes these places so compelling is not just the ghost stories that surround them, but the way they force us to confront the unknown. Whether we believe in the supernatural or not, there is an undeniable allure in stepping into spaces where history refuses to be forgotten. The cold spots, the distant whispers, the fleeting glimpses of figures that vanish the moment we try to reach them. These experiences challenge our understanding of reality and remind us that there are still mysteries in the world that defy explanation. Mississippi's haunted history is deeply intertwined with its cultural and historical roots, shaped by the legacies of slavery, war, and the struggles of those who lived and died within these walls. Some believe that the spirits of the past remain because they are trapped by unfinished business, while others suggest that these locations serve as emotional imprints, carrying forward the pain and sorrow of those who once called them home. Regardless of the reason, one thing is certain: those who dare to visit these places often leave changed, carrying with them a newfound respect for the delicate boundary between the living and the dead. If you've enjoyed this journey through the haunted heart of Mississippi, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-chilling story. Whether you're a believer in the paranormal or simply fascinated by the power of history and legend, there's always more to uncover in the world of the unknown. Until next time, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, sometimes, the past isn't as far away as we think.